Alright, welcome back to the SuperCoach Nuff channel. In this video we're going to review week 5 of the 2025-26 Premier League season in terms of SuperCoach EPL and Fantasy Premier League. So we'll do the SuperCoach EPL first. And so this week was an okay week. We scored 81 points, which was top 20% for the round. We did get some green arrows overall, so we're up 400 spots to 3,700 in the overall rank. So if you have a look at the team, so we had Petrovic in goal, and he scored 11 points. I'm assuming that's off the back of a clean sheet. I haven't paid too much attention to the scores. Yeah, so 0-0 draw, so that was handy. Calafiori scoring just the 5 points. Van de Ven with a single point in the 2-2 draw to Brighton. Diouf with a 13-point return, so that's really good for him. Truffaut with 10 points, again, clean sheet contributing heavily to that. And Rodon with 6 points, so probably left a few points on the bench in defence. In the midfield, Grealish, Paqueta, Dewsbury Hall all blanking with 5, 4 and 3 respectively. So Grealish, Dewsbury Hall probably peaked in price, so maybe worthwhile moving on. Kamada as our trade-in this week, and he scored 9 points. Unfortunately, Reinders, I think, scored a goal for Man City, or he had some sort of involvement there for Man City, so we did miss out on a few points. Sarr missed the game, not sure if it was through injury or just selection. Up front, Haaland and Salah both getting returns. Haaland scored the goal, I'm pretty sure, so Reinders must have got the assist. Salah with an assist for a goal, so 9 points as captain's okay. Gyökeres unfortunately blanked. So if we have a look at the head-to-head matchups this week, so a couple of wins. First league, I got a win over Rice Baby with 73 points, who had Ekitike score a 15-pointer. Captained Richards for an 8 point, so not the worst captain, but had Sanchez -4 thanks to a early send-off, so that is a bit stiff. Tonale, Haaland, and Reinders with an 11-point return. So as I said, I did see he win all right because I think I've got him in my FPL team still. But looking through a couple of tons this week, so it looks like Twigs FC Leafs team has got it with 103. So Captain Salah, Nico Williams with 20-point return, so a goal and a clean sheet from memory. So that's fantastic. Had Haaland and Reinders still, so some good scoring there from Leif. In the second league, a win over Lee's team, the Hooligans. He had Van de Ven as captain, which was unfortunate, but Kudus with an 11-point return. He had Truffaut on field and Diouf, so a few good scores. Unfortunately, he left Richarlison and Reinders on the bench, so that is unlucky. And having a look through, looks like just the 1 ton here, but a 107 for Joey. So well done, the JNL Super Saints. So let's see, you had Bowen with a 15-point return, Petrovic and Truffaut on field, Reinders, Captain Haaland. So a solid team there. Had Dorgu on the bench too. So I left a few points on the table there. Go back to game day. So I'll just have a quick look in the Open League. If there was any higher scores, looks like there was a 117. I'm guessing that's pretty good. A 119. There you go, almost gave up. So 119 for Adam's team, Mags Chester United. So he captained Caicedo, but had Shalabar with 16, Bruno Fernandes with 16, Dorgu, Reinders, Diouf. So lots of double digits. Petrovic, Haaland as well. So great work this week, Adam. Let's have a quick look at some other players that we might have missed. So top scorer this week was Ryan Gravenberch the 24 with a goal and assist. Don't think a clean sheet, but he would have been in amongst everything. Stark, I don't know how you say that. The Leeds midfielder with a 24-point return as well. So a bit cheaper. Might be a nice break even for him this week. Awobi with the 21-point returns, nice. Nico Williams we've seen. Tyreek Mitchell with a 19. Jaden Anthony with an 18. So he's started like a house on fire this season. He's had two big rounds from memory. So that's fantastic. Harry Wilson scored well, which was nice. Um, Gay, 17. Matty Cash, 17. Ayari with a 17. I did see our man Minter finally got a goal, and we traded him out in SuperCoach, so that's a bit flat. But it is what it is. There he is, Minter with a 15-point return. So would have made us a bit of cash and probably a nice break even as well. Speaking of which, let's have a look at break evens real quick. So Gravenberch is the top break even this week with a -8. Zubamendi, well done if you started him, made 2 mil already and has a -7 break even. Might only be for one more week after a 4-point return this week. Uh, so Stack with a -7 break even. Bergval, another one who's probably only got 1 week with a 4-point this week. Trippier didn't play, not sure what's going on there, but once he comes back in, he'll make some cash. So, yeah, so a couple of the Fulham options looking pretty good. Muniz bottomed out, 4.6 mil forward. Dorgu was one we were interested in previously, but might be the time to get on now at nice negative break even. Good matchup against Brentford this week. We will see. So, in terms of the plan this week, we do have a lot of cash in the bank. So, I'm thinking it's time to do a couple of upgrades. So, if we look at the break evens in our team, so you can see the likes of Grealish, Paqueta, Dewsbury Hall have all maxed out in price. So, there's options there around upgrading these guys. So, if we trade out, let's try Dewsbury Hall and who do they play? So they play each other this week, which is pretty interesting. But I might go Picata just because of the higher break even. So we could go straight up to a Bowen and a Fernandez and still have some cash in the bank. Um, I was thinking about Cole Palmer again as well, but I believe he got injured again. So, we may just hang on to Grealish. The other option is if we use another boost to take advantage of that cash that Gravenberch is going to make. So, um, or we could look at upgrading in defence. So, if we look at the top averages this season, so Chalabar's gone all right. So, I think he's had a couple of big games so far. So, yeah, like 4 games, you can see they're 12, 18, 16, 16. Let's have a look at the underlying stats. So, 2 of those games, he scored a goal. So, a couple of clean sheets in there as well. But seems to score all right as well. So things like getting points for tackles, aerial wins, interceptions. So it looks like he can do all right. So in the 7, what happened there? He lost some points for goals conceded. Okay, but got key pass, tackles or aerial wins, clearances. So I guess he is expensive, but at the price he's doing well. So, but I guess if we base it on that, do we just look at someone like a Virgil van Dijk who does have the ability to score big. How's he gone? So yeah, so pretty solid. Like his worst game was that 5 against Newcastle, perhaps. Or do we just save the boost? Is the other option. Well, we'll lock in those two trades. I think those guys are pretty well keepers. I guess the other thing is we do have to look into Saar whether he's injured or not. So I might just leave the third trade for now, but there might be a third trade there. But we will look at the FPL stuff because there's a bit more information around injuries and the like here. So we did score 48 points this week, which did see us move up another sort of heap of spots into the top 5.5 mil now. So doing all right. But this week we didn't have a lot go on in defence. Funny scored 3 in FPL despite double digits in SuperCoach, so that's something to be mindful of. But we captained Salah with his assist, so we did get something out of it. Reinders with a 9, Minte with a 9, Haaland with a 9, so some good returns there. Um, Not much doing on the bench. And Verts coming off the bench, getting a yellow card. So I think we might have to move on from Florian Verts. But in the league, we did scratch another win over Sonny Littlechild's team by Saka Potato. Sorry, I always get the team names confused here. But he was unfortunately a Sanchez owner, so -3, and he will miss again. Esteve and Virgil scoring all right in defence, defensive contributions, no doubt. Had Kudus, Captain Salah, had Reinders on the bench, which is a bit stiff. So unlucky this week. Sonny. Um, but if I go back to the league, the top scorer this week. So the Yarra Spartans with a 72-point return, which is nice. Bench boost. So that would have helped this week. Let's see, he had Senesi in the defence with a 9-pointer. Had Kudus, Mateta, Haaland, and then I guess having the bench boost was massive because Stack with the 15-point return. So what's he worth in this format? 5 mil? Not a not a bad shout. How's he scoring overall? So he did get a return against Everton game week 1. Not the worst run of fixtures coming up, so might be a little option. But let's have a look at some transfers. So Ronaldo, I think he's suspended, just got red carded. So one game, no need to stress. De Kuiper doesn't look like he's playing at the moment, so is losing a bit of cash, which is not ideal. But then we have Verts, who is sliding in value and is not really in the scene at the moment. He'll come good eventually, but we do need to move on. Um, so where do we go? Let's have a look at midfielders only because we do need to get some stats on some players. Um, so none of them appear on the first page, which is annoying. So yeah, so Saar was seemingly fit, just didn't get the minutes. So let's just quickly go and have a look at the actual score. So I do like the Premier League setup now with the games listed here on the side, nice and easy to access. It's good gear. Well done, Premier League, for fixing that up. So it looks like with Paulinho coming in, so Bergvall, Bentancur preferred to Saar. So I wonder what Bergvall's at. He scored well, I think, on the weekend. Actually, this won't show it here, will it? I need to go back into fantasy. searching up. So 5.4. But yeah, I guess had a couple of games off the bench, but did well last week, and then got the start this week. So a couple of nice fixtures coming up. Wolves, Leeds. So he might be worth a shout. He might be the option that comes in here. We might do the boost there. But I guess the other option we wanted to look at is what happened with Palmer. So it just says a groin injury, but I guess with Brighton, Liverpool, the next two don't particularly need to risk him. That's for our SuperCoach. Can't afford him in fantasy. But I guess if I get rid of Verts, what are our options in the midfield? So Semenyo's going well. Anthony, we talked about being a pretty decent option. Let's have a look. So yeah, so 3 goals and an assist in 5 at 5.5 mil. Could be worth a shout. He does have Man City this week though, which is a bit yuck. So let's reverse that. Caicedo's just been pretty solid, I would imagine. Although he scored 2 goals, as well as potentially some defensive contributions. Yeah, so you can see 15, 17, 23, just racking them up. It's good gear. I guess the other thing is how much more faith do we put in Salah? Zubamendi at 5.4. I guess just had the 2 goals against Forest and that's been it, so maybe not. So not committing to that just yet. But Stack. So goal and 2 assists so far, so nothing too consistent there. Gravenberch is an interesting one. So he's 2 goals and assists, looks pretty nailed on. And that's in 4 games as well because he missed the first one through suspension. How's his defensive contribution? So would have only got him for that last game. So I guess we don't quite have enough money for Fernandez. We don't have the second free transfer either for Fernandez. Um, Gakpo, yeah, sort of hasn't done much the last few weeks, but pretty well nailed on there on the left wing, I think. Soboslai is an interesting one, playing a bit more forward this week. Bergvall. I guess the other option is do we go the wild card? I was trying to leave it till over the international break after game week 7 when I've got a bit more time to rethink it. Let's well, I guess with no, so we don't like Chelsea's fixtures. It's Bournemouth's fixtures like Leeds, Fulham. Yeah, so that's not bad. Like I mean, yeah, I guess with the fixtures, we might just plug in Semenyo for now, and we can always fix that up in the wild card if it doesn't work out in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I guess for this week, let's have a look. So probably Kamada against Liverpool isn't a fixture we want to target. So hopefully Strand Larson gets a run. Um, and I think Rodon could actually be playable against Bournemouth, particularly if De Kuiper's not playing anyway. So we might just do that. Save that. And I might just flip the captaincy around because Haaland against Burnley is a nice fixture. So that's the FPL team, and I will just flip back to the SuperCoach team for now, and we'll wrap the video up. So if you've got any questions, comments, thoughts, feel free to add them below this video. Give us a like if you enjoy the SuperCoach, or sorry, the EPL content. Subscribe for all the SuperCoach fantasy content on the channel. And other than that, we'll catch you in the next one.